Let me tell y'all something, and I want you to really sit with this. Somewhere in the heart of the desert, while little boys wake up to empty plates and dry mouths, there's a man, no, let's say a god, to his people, who wakes up on a mattress made of silk, drinking coffee worth more than your rent. He got palaces so big you need a map just to find the bathroom. But behind all that gold and glory lies blood, lies powder, lies secrets you wouldn't believe if I shouted them from a mountaintop. This man, Sheikh Kareem al-Rashid, ruled with one hand and dealt drugs with the other. Y'all ready to go behind the gates? Buckle up. This ain't just a story. This is a damn warning. The desert was quiet, not because it was early, but because it was forbidden to make noise near the royal district before the sheik woke up at precisely 5:17 a.m. every day, never a minute before or after. A signal was sent from a tower built in pure white marble. The birds stopped. Guards stood still. Servants waited in silence. Inside a $1.4 billion palace carved into the side of a mountain, Sheikh Kareem al-Rashid stirred from his slumber. He wasn't just a leader. To his people, he was divine, the lion of light, the moon that walks. They sang songs about his wisdom, prayed for his health, told bedtime stories about how he once touched a dying child and healed her. But the truth had fangs. His bed, if you could call it that, was layered with Ethiopian ivory supports covered in 300 thread count silk, imported from Istanbul and cooled by a silent air system filtered through diamond-crushed vents. At the foot of the bed was a monitor, not for Netflix, but for real-time updates from what he called the shadows. The shadows were his empire. They weren't politicians, they weren't religious scholars, they were traffickers. From Colombia to Albania to Morocco, they moved cocaine, opium, ketamine, and anything else he could profit from. By 5:22 a.m., the sheikh sat up. A servant girl not older than 16 brought him a cup of kawa, Arabic coffee, roasted with gold flakes and cardamom. But before he drank it, a man entered the room, tall, cold, faceless. He sipped the sheikh's coffee. He was the tester, because a man with this many enemies can't just trust the cup. Clear, he said. Only then did Sheikh Kareem sip. Faris, the sheikh said without even looking. Where's my report? From behind the curtain, a man stepped forward, nervous, twitchy, sweaty despite the air conditioning. This was Faris al-Bashir, the sheikh's most loyal aide and his most broken. Faris was hooked on heroin, not the street kind, the lab pure Snow White kind that came in gold pouches, and his addiction made him vicious, especially to his wife. My lord, shipment from Istanbul arrived safely, Faris muttered, avoiding eye contact. 2 men died on the border. Dogs smelled the glue. The sheikh barely blinked. Replace the dogs. Replace the men. Yes, my lord. Outside the window, which wasn't really a window but a projection screen that simulated sunrise based on the sheikh's mood, the artificial dawn glowed with red and orange. He preferred fake sunrises. He didn't trust the real sky anymore. See, what y'all gotta understand is, this man didn't live in the same world as the rest of us. While kids were selling scraps just to buy bread, he was eating lamb flown in from Andalusia. While mothers were praying for insulin, he was taking bubble baths in rose water flown in from Paris. This wasn't a man. This was a system dressed in flesh. In the dining room, lined with emerald chandeliers and a table so long it needed a golf cart to deliver food, he sat alone. One servant brought scrambled ostrich eggs, another brought camel milk whipped with honey. Then came a dessert platter with imported strawberries, cherries, and grapes, all fruits forbidden to grow in that part of the kingdom. Faris stood silently beside the sheikh. His left eye was bruised. No one asked why. Everyone knew he beat his wife. Everyone knew the palace guards heard her scream at night in their villa. But the sheikh said nothing. He needed Faris. Faris was the one who brought drugs in diplomatic crates. He had the clearance. He had the fake documentation. He had the hunger to please. Tonight, the sheikh said, we meet the Nigerians. Tell them the price is the same. We're not lowering for trash. Yes, my lord, Faris replied almost in a whisper. And just like that, $1 billion drug deal was confirmed over a plate of lamb and pomegranate. Look, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely, but I say absolute power attracts corruption. And when you live like a god, ain't nobody gonna tell you when you act like the devil. The sun finally broke over the desert. The city speakers played a prayer in his honor. Children bowed in the street, but inside, behind titanium walls and smart glass, Sheikh Kareem planned his next move, one foot in royalty, the other in ruin. And Faris? He clutched his side, stomach twisting, not from shame, from withdrawal. He needed a hit. This is the true talk. When a leader rises so high that no one can question him, evil becomes routine. He may smile for the cameras, pray in public, and kiss babies, but behind the scenes, he signs death, warrants, and drug deals between spoonfuls of caviar. Here comes the hard truth. You think power makes people corrupt? No. Power only reveals what they always were. When evil gets a crown, it doesn't hide, it builds palaces. And sometimes the man people worship is the same one flooding their streets with poison. Now listen close. A man's breakfast can tell you who he is. See, when the poor wake up, they boil yesterday's rice and thank God they're still breathing. But when a man like Sheikh Kareem al-Rashid wakes up, breakfast ain't food, it's a declaration. The morning sun had barely stretched over the sandstone domes of Zahran, the capital, but inside the Ranga Palace, Sheikh Kareem's personal estate, a banquet was already underway. It wasn't a buffet, it was a performance. Dozens of chefs, many flown in from Spain, France, and Morocco, moved like soldiers behind a glass wall, preparing each dish with microscopic precision. The sheikh didn't eat in the main palace. He had a private dining suite beneath the west wing. The room was wrapped in velvet drapes, the table shaped like a crescent moon, and a harpist, yes, a harpist, played while he sipped his $600 Saudi blend coffee. "Start," he said. Immediately the plates came. First was hot Parma ham, illegally flown in from Italy despite religious restrictions, imported through coated diplomatic crates labeled as medical equipment. Then came the Kobe beef, medium rare, so tender it fell apart with a breath. The meat, illegal in his region, was cooked in black truffle oil. Then camel tongue wrapped in vine leaves, and a cup of snake wine said to increase virility. He drank it slowly, letting the cobra tail slide against the glass. Meanwhile, Faris stood at the wall trembling, not from fear, but from need. He hadn't used since midnight, and now every second felt like glass shards in his stomach. His eyes kept twitching, his knees were weak. "Sit," the sheikh said, motioning without eye contact. Faris sat at the far end of the table. A plate was set in front of him: lobster, saffron rice, sweet figs, and a slice of French cake. He didn't touch it. He couldn't eat without the hit. "You're useless to me like this," the sheikh said. Faris looked down. "I'll fix it," he whispered. "Your wife, she complains again?" the sheikh asked, sipping his wine. Faris flinched. "She doesn't matter. She matters if she talks, and if she talks, you know what I do to talkers." Faris nodded. His hands were shaking so bad the fork slipped from his grip. Just then a servant entered, bowed, and whispered in the sheikh's ear. He smiled. "Excellent. The shipment reached Algiers. 2 crates passed customs, hidden beneath spice barrels. Very clever, Faris." Faris tried to smile, but his eyes betrayed something darker. Last night, Faris's wife, Samira, stood at the door, her eyes swollen. "You said you'd stop," she whispered. "I run this palace for the sheik. You think I care about your bruises?" He screamed, smashing a glass. The guards outside heard it. They always heard it, but no one moved because Faris worked for the devil, and even the devil's dog had protection. Back at the table, Sheikh Kareem wiped his mouth. He pushed back his gold chair. The harpist stopped. He walked to a side room lined with LED screens, maps, and red blinking dots. Each dot was a deal. Each light was a lie. His personal security chief, a man named Nasser, was already waiting. Colombia confirmed. 15 million in raw powder, routed through Ghana, then Dubai. Faris did well, Nasser said. "Good," the sheikh replied. "Increase increase his dosage. Nasser looked confused. You mean? Yes, Kareem said. Get him his drug. Keep him chained. See now, that's the cold truth. The sheikh didn't just run a criminal empire. He fed his own people the poison, then made his most loyal man a slave to it. And Faris? Man thought he was powerful, but he was just a junkie on a leash, trained to bite whoever the sheikh pointed at. Later that morning, a black SUV pulled up behind the palace. A small package was handed to a guard, wrapped in prayer cloth marked holy water. It wasn't holy. It was heroin, pure and deadly. The guard delivered it to Faris's suite. Samira watched from behind the curtain crying. She knew what was in the box. She knew it would keep her husband locked in the sheikh's grip. But what could she do? Speak up? Run? This was Zahran, a country where truth got you buried in the desert. Sheikh Kareem returned to his chamber. He looked into the camera mounted in the ceiling. Behind that camera, a satellite fed footage to his private server in Cyprus. He watched the people in the street marching, bowing, begging. He watched Faris inject the needle into his thigh, and he smiled. Y'all better listen. You think leaders just lie? Some of them cook up so much evil, they serve it for breakfast, right next to the steak and strawberries. And if a man can poison his own brother, what you think he'll do to a stranger? Power in the wrong hands doesn't just destroy nations, it turns men into machines. Faris thought he was important, but addiction made him a puppet. When the hand that feeds you is also the hand that slaps your wife, you're not loyal, you're just trapped. Never admire a leader for what he shows you. Look at what he hides. If his breakfast costs more than his people's monthly wage, he ain't a ruler, he's a thief in robes. And thieves dressed in gold don't fear consequences, they create them. Now let me tell you something about power. Power don't ride no bicycle. Power don't walk in sandals. Power rolls in with tinted windows, bulletproof glass, and bodyguards who'd shoot their own mama if you said the word. Sheikh Kareem ain't drive a car. He drove a message. It was 2:13 p.m. and the streets of Zahran were frozen. Not a car moved. Shops were closed. School children stood at attention. Old men clutched prayer beads and looked at the sky, whispering blessings. Why? Because they heard the tires. Down from the marble hills came a motorcade of 6 armored vehicles, each one darker than the last, each one customized by European engineers flown in under fake names, and leading the charge, a jet black Maybach S680 Guard Edition worth $2.1 million, plated in gold, bulletproof, bomb-proof, God-proof. Inside, reclining in white leather, was the sheik. He didn't hold a steering wheel, he held control. Beside him sat Nasser, his security chief, tapping a tablet connected to satellite feeds and motion sensors around the Ministry of Intelligence. Any movement? The sheik asked. Only praise, Nasser replied. The people outside didn't cheer, they didn't wave, they didn't dare. They stood still, eyes to the ground, because looking directly at the sheikh's car was forbidden. One wrong look and you'd vanish into the desert like smoke in the wind. Inside the Maybach, the sheikh reached for his golden cigar case. Not tobacco, opium-laced cigars, imported from Laos, dipped in honey, sealed in beeswax, and blessed by a corrupt imam on the sheikh's payroll. He lit one, exhaled, smiled. Faris will meet us there? He asked. Yes, Nasser said. He better not be high. Nasser hesitated. Sir, he's always high. The sheikh smirked. Good. Makes him more obedient. Back in the city, Faris stumbled into the lobby of the Ministry of Intelligence. He was sweating bullets, pale, eyes bloodshot. He fixed his tie with shaking hands. Samira had followed him to the door that morning. Please, just quit, she whispered, grabbing his sleeve. Faris slapped her hand away. You want to live poor? I'm the reason we eat. Then he stormed out. Now standing in the lobby under the stare of golden eagle emblems, Ferris tried to remember his briefing. He couldn't. His mind was fog. A security officer scanned his face, cleared him through. Upstairs on the 17th floor, the sheik was already waiting. The conference room was wrapped in lead-lined glass, soundproofed, and monitored by a silent AI system developed in Russia. 4 men sat at the table, 2 ministers, 1 general, and the sheik. They were there to discuss the trade routes, which meant the drug highways. Libya, the sheik said, has reopened ports. Nasser, confirm? Yes, my lord. Shipment from Afghanistan will pass through by next Thursday. Excellent, Karim said. And the boys in Yemen? We lost 1 truck, drone strike, but the rest made it. He turned to Faris, who was holding a silver folder upside down. The sheik sighed. Faris, yes, my lord, you look like death. I feel alive, my lord. Liar, the sheik said. Faris chuckled nervously. Yes, my lord. See this right here? This is what hell in a suit looks like. You got a man, druggy, wife-beater, half dead, running billion-dollar operations with the grace of a rabid dog. And the sheik, he ain't mine. So long as the money moved, the poison flowed, and the people stayed scared. 2 hours later, the sheik stood alone in the private elevator. As he descended to the underground garage, he looked at the polished walls. His reflection stared back. A man dressed in custom-cut Italian wool, wearing a $400,000 Patek Philippe watch on one wrist and a black prayer bead bracelet on the other. He pressed his palm to the sensor. The garage doors hissed open. Inside was a fleet of machines. Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, Lexus 600s, Ferrari Roma, every car modified, every car tracked, every car cleaned daily by workers who weren't allowed to speak. Each had a coded name, each had a designated route, because in Zahran, even driving had a security plan. The sheik walked past them, trailing his fingers over the hood of a matte black Ferrari. He didn't need them, but he kept them, because to him, wheels meant war. That night, Samira sat on the rooftop, holding an ice pack to her cheek. Downstairs, Ferris had locked himself in the bathroom. She heard the sobbing, then the thump, then silence. He'd passed out again, and all she could think was, how did I marry a man who became a weapon? Yeah. That's what power do, y'all. It turns men into machines, turns cars into weapons, turns cities into prisons. And the sheik, he ain't just building an empire, he building a high graveyard and calling it glory. Listen to me. You see, the cars, the suits, the ministry meetings, they're just window dressing. Beneath every polished surface in that kingdom lies a crack, a bruise, a hidden scream, and every time someone like Ferris shoots up, a woman like Samira loses another piece of her soul. Listen to the hard truth. If your country worships its leader more than it feeds its children, you're not free, you're farmed, you're livestock. And the man behind the tinted windows, he ain't your savior. He's your dealer, your warden, your devil dressed in silk. You want to know what follow next? Here it is. You ever seen a man so rich, he sails just to breathe, not to fish, not to swim, just to sit on $7 million and float above the poor? That's what the sheik did. That yacht, that was his confession booth and his throne. From the edge of Zahran's marble coast, where the desert meets the sea, a private port sits hidden behind concrete barriers and armed watchtowers. No tourists, no cargo ships, just one vessel bigger than most buildings, coated in navy blue with gold Arabic calligraphy engraved on the hull. The Sultana Al-Bar. Translation, the Ocean Queen. Estimated value, $7.3 million. Every Thursday, just before Maghrib prayer, the sheik disappeared. Guards would escort him in silence, no eye contact allowed. The vehicle would pass through 2 layers of steel gates, then down a ramp to a private tunnel that led directly to the pier. No one knew where he went. Some said he met with foreign warlords. Others believed he just liked to feel untouchable. But that Thursday, he wasn't alone. Ferris was invited. Inside the yacht, every inch screamed, excess. Imported Italian silk lined the walls. The floors, Burmese teakwood polish so smooth it reflected light like water. There was a personal spa, a cigar lounge, a massage room with a live-in therapist from Thailand who hadn't spoken to her family in 4 years. The sheik stepped in wearing an all-white robe. No jewelry today, just a pair of leather sandals and a silver ring shaped like a lion's head. He looked at Faris, who was sweating through his dress shirt. "You ever sail, Faris?" he asked. "No, my lord." "Then today you'll sail in silence." They drifted out to sea. The yacht had military-grade armor, a silent satellite tracking system, and 2 armed speedboats trailing behind. Inside, the sheikh sat in a soundproofed room lit only by soft gold lamps. He poured 2 glasses of wine, not just any wine, a rare French vintage banned across the region. Faris stared at the drink. He hadn't eaten in 24 hours. "You know what I hate about land, Faris?" the sheikh asked, sipping. "No, my lord." "People." Faris chuckled nervously. The sheikh didn't laugh. "On land they beg. On land they lie. On land they remember you owe them. But out here," he spread his arms wide, "out here I owe nothing." Elsewhere on the boat, behind locked doors, a negotiation was taking place. A Colombian cartel envoy had been flown in blindfolded, then brought aboard the yacht just as it departed. They were here to seal a new route, a drug path through northern Africa that would triple the sheikh's profits. In return, the sheikh would send rush weapons stolen from European stockpiles to fuel the cartel's street wars. None of this was documented. None of it would ever be spoken again. The envoy never even saw the sheikh's face, only his voice coming through a speaker distorted. That's how careful he was. Back upstairs, Faris couldn't hold it anymore. His hands trembled violently. The sheikh raised an eyebrow. "You brought it?" he asked. Faris nodded. From inside his coat, he pulled a small packet. Inside, a needle, a vial, and salvation. The sheikh didn't flinch. "Do it here," he said. Faris hesitated. "Here, sir?" "Yes. Right there, on a yacht built like a palace, beside a man who owned more land than 10 villages combined." Faris injected poison into his veins, and the sheikh watched with the calm of a surgeon. "Do you feel loyal now?" he asked. Faris didn't answer. He couldn't. His body went numb. Hours passed. The yacht returned under the cover of night. Faris was helped into a car, eyes blank, face pale. The sheikh stood at the deck, looking towards Zahran's glowing skyline. Behind him, one of his aides whispered, "The girl on board. She tried to send a message. We caught her." "Handle it," he said without turning. "How, sir?" "She doesn't exist." The aide bowed. One less voice, one more secret. "See, some men hide their sins in basements. Others, they float them out to sea. That yacht wasn't just a ride, it was a tomb for truth. And Faris, he was no guest. He was the entertainment, just another addict dancing for a king. I know you're blown away by this story. See, power isolates itself. The yacht wasn't for escape. It was for control. The sea made the sheikh feel like God. No laws, no noise, just him, his deals, and his broken puppets. Faris didn't realize he wasn't trusted. He was watched, used, and discarded like trash on the tide. Now, when a man lives so high above you, he needs a boat just to feel alone. That ain't a leader, that's a tyrant. And if you ever get invited into his world, don't feel special. Feel scared, because in the kingdom of monsters, silence is the price of survival. All right, now, I know this story got you locked in. It just keeps getting better, don't it? You want to know what happens next? Then don't play yourself. Hit that video in the top right corner. That's part 2. And trust me, it's the final twist you don't want to miss. Before you go, do me one favor. Subscribe, hit that like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what shocked you the most. I'll catch you on the other side.